Hello, people. Now, I had already made a video about my use and the reason for streaming music and the future of listening to music and all that stuff. And as you can see behind me, I have several physical mediums, books, DVDs, and so on. And also a bunch of CDs, of which I never listen to anymore. Now, this is instead a video about the future of streaming services and why that might need to clean up a little bit. The Norwegian newspaper DN, Dagens Næringsliv, which is a business newspaper, got hold of some reports from the Norwegian University of Science and Technology in Trondheim. What it says is that they have been manipulating the number of times songs and albums have been played, and sort of running in shadow mode, using real user profiles like mine, for instance, and many others. And what this has resulted in is that this big pool of this big pie of money, it goes to that every artist gets a bit of share of, depending on how much you've been, how many streams you have. So it's, if I play my local artist one day every week, he doesn't get, the artist doesn't get played per view, as it were. It's more like the cumulative total, and then it's drawn from the total big pie of money. The speculations surfaced a few years ago with Kanye West's album Life of Pablo, and also Beyonce's Lemonade, which had Life of Pablo was a Tidal exclusive at the time. It was streamed 250 million times in 10 days, which is a bit strange because when the platform only had 3 million users, so that doesn't necessarily compute. And the same thing when Tidal claimed Beyonce's Lemonade had been streamed 306 million times in just 15 days. People began to look into it, but it wasn't really delved in. But this probably started the research project at NTNU in Trondheim, where some computer guys looked into this, and they found that they were running in shadow mode in user profiles and playing off songs that they didn't listen to, at least not at the time. So it looked genuine, but this is worrying in several reasons. One is that these are artists that, well, they're not exactly poor to begin with, and it's, we're here in the realm of $20 million and stuff like that are just removed from the big pie and taken to their respective record labels and to the artists and all that, which means that all the other artists, that's money they won't see, they won't get from that. The pile is just that much smaller. That's just wrong on so many levels, and particularly when you consider Tidal to be started, well, it was originally in the region, WIMP. And I know that sounds slightly strange, think of it in the English meaning of the word. And then it was expanded to Tidal, sort of as the overseas version. And then it was bought by JC 2 or 3 years ago. And it was sort of this big hurrah with Madonna and a lot of other big musicians, some of the richest musicians in the world, who said, well, this is going to be a streaming service for the musicians. We're going to give the power back to the musicians and give them the money they deserve and all that. And then this comes floating up, and it sort of destroys the whole credibility of it, which is sad, because I use Tidal primarily because they are the only one that goes out and says, we will guarantee you high fidelity quality on the audio, and that's fine, and it sounds very good as well. And it's sort of like, why do you do this? You don't need the money, you don't need to do. And when they're struggling already, none of the streaming services make money, not even Spotify makes money. It's turned out to be rather, the idea is fantastic for convenience. I'll make another video about that, but it isn't necessarily very easy to make money on it. Don't know exactly how this with Apple Music. There have been talks of something similar in Apple Music, but no one's gotten around to actually accusing anyone of it. Now, and how has Tidal responded? They have, of course, denied all the accusations and all knowledge of this and said that the Norwegian business newspaper that broke this story has been after them before and have called their owner a drug dealer and so forth. And they have demanded the report from the university withdrawn. And then there also happened, because these albums are a few years old, a few of the people that were working in Tidal at the time as number crunching all the listening numbers and doing all this, going over all the data, that's everything is logged. They found anomalies and they reported it, and not that long afterwards they quit, and they've signed a contract saying that they will not speak of their time in Tidal after they quit. And one of them now lives in Denmark and runs ecological farming. And he said, "No, I can't talk to you. Sorry. No idea. Next time you come, we will send the police at your door." And several other similar situations. Now that is not particularly open, and it is the kind of closed doors policy that doesn't exactly make your case any better. It doesn't. In fact, if anything, it makes the case far more, why are you doing this? What do you have to hide? It's so sad, because this is kind of I was late to the party when it came to streaming, and I felt it's one of those things that's just so utterly convenient that you just sort of wonder why in the name of all that's holy haven't anyone done it before? People have begun reacting, artists have begun reacting, so I have to ask myself, what do I do? I could just return to Spotify. I mean, Spotify and full 360 kilobytes and all that stuff doesn't sound bad at all. In fact, I think actually they've cleaned up the reaction sound better now than they did just a few years ago. But these things are constantly improving. But I just think it's so sad, because being a musician, and many smaller musicians, maybe they don't ever have any dreams and hopes of making it big. They just do this because they think it's fun. You know, they love making music. That's great. But give them what they deserve, and don't let the big... This is kind of back to the man, yeah? And it is just so fucking unnecessary to do this. But maybe the industry, as a young industry, this is the first sort of crisis they're going through. From up until now, it's also been going up and getting the best. But then again, it's a difficult industry has been so far to make your own, because if you choose one or the other, it's basically the same thing. Apart from Apple Music, I don't use Apple Music, but from a scene from it, they do things a little bit their own way. Well, maybe they need a little bit of a cleanup and a little bit of a kick in the back. So that was it. We'll make a follow-up video later about how and why I stream, what are the pros and cons of it. If you found this interesting, then do click like and please subscribe, leave a comment if you want, and share. That's it for today then. Bye.